DaVinci, the bearded Renaissance Italian visionary who was punished for being smart by the Catholic Church and ended up getting plenty of fame for inventing a bunch of good shit and contributing a lot to science. If you think this backstory is familiar, then that is because it is. It happened to most Renaissance visionaries. And in fact, this is literally a portrait of Galileo, who is just a sequel to Da Vinci. So who is this bearded math man? Well, Leonardo da Vinci was born 15th of April 1452 Gregorian calendar, because the other ones are very dumb. His last name, Da Vinci, is not a last name and is simply an indicator as to where he was born. Da meaning from, and Vinci is where he is from. He has had many works in a range of sciences including anatomy, astronomy, botany, cartography, painting, paleontology, and engineering. He has mainly had these opportunities because he was born at the right time. You see, it was early into the Renaissance, which means scientific developments were the new meta. Arabia and Asia got the update early, and England got it late, mainly due to this asshole. This means the Catholic Church was less preachy, and there was more length to the leash when it comes to stepping out of God's pre-alpha life build. Because the Church now legalized being smart, the amount of people who challenged their beliefs increased. So they brought the banhammer. Galileo Galilei jailed for heresy for claiming the Earth revolved around the Sun. Nicholas Copernicus, same thing, and Pope Rodrigo Borgia poisoned for being obnoxious. Da Vinci was just shamed for a bit for not being religious enough, to which he probably responded with Vaffanculo, stronzo, pezzo di merda, Repubblica di Firenze, io sono religioso, voi idioti. Part 1. Anatomy. Leonardo likes people, not in an extroverted way, but in getting dead patients' corpses from hospitals and dissecting them. If only he knew about my fridge. From his findings, he wrote a large number of papers and books of his studies, many of which weren't published and were only discovered in the late 19th century. It is said he could have revolutionized medical knowledge at the time, but would probably be incarcerated by the Catholic Church in doing so. He even had a centenarian friend, which was incredibly rare at the time, and when he passed away, naturally, Da Vinci would organize an expensive funeral. No, actually, he promptly dissected his friend and wrote about it. Nice one, Leo. Part 2. Astronomy. Not to be confused with astrology, which is really just some ancient Greek fairy tale that people believe even today. Astronomy is the study of space, or the night sky, as it was considered at the time. He developed a telescope prototype in which he never actually made, but explored the possibility of, and people say Galileo took the idea, expanded on it, produced it, and committed heresy. Leonardo also discovered Earthshine and figured out why the moon glows during crescent moon and why you see its ghostly reflection of the rest of it. Part 3. Botany. He drew some really accurate plant drawings, and that's about it. Part 4. Cartography. Is boring. Part 5. Painting. He did a lot of painting, which he clearly did not like because he quit not long after starting. He did paint the Mona Lisa twice, however, and did incredibly detailed drawings of plants, animals, human organs and bodies, and also Jesus. Part 6. Paleontology. Leonardo found a lot of fossils in the Italian countryside and pioneered ichnology, or trace fossils. Not just fossils of prehistoric plants and animals, also saliva, tracks, hair, and waste. He also discovered that in coral, animals would bore their way in and feed or lay eggs there like many insects do to trees. Part 7. Engineering. And why it is so revolutionary what he did, even by today's standards. He invented the machine gun-ish before Hiram Maxim. He invented the bicycle before Ida Pierres. He invented the tank before Lancelot de Mol. He invented the submarine before Cornelius Drebbel. And he invented the plane-ish before the Wright brothers. Most of these came about when the Duke of Sforza in Milan ordered Da Vinci to invent some siege weapons for him in fear the French would invade. He said this before he was invaded by the French and died. He also experimented with perpetual motion, where he would use round weights to roll down a spoke to turn a wheel. Here are 3 models that use such mechanisms. Of course, perfect perpetual motion is impossible because of thermal dynamics, but this is close. He did aerodynamics and some stuff with light reflections and refractions, which is reflected in his telescope design. The reason why this is so significant is because not only were all of these inventions credited after the Industrial Revolution, but the potential he had, if not confined by the laws in place. Already, Leonardo da Vinci's developments are shaping the future in multiple ways, whether it be medicine, art, or engineering, and not to forget that if he never made that proto-telescope, then Galileo would never have discovered that we weren't in the center of the universe. With more of his works, we could be living in the world that Irish did before they discovered alcohol.